What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I want to talk about what's happening with the market this far and talk about some very important levels to watch for. I'm going to break down some big news that just came out that's a little bit negative for the markets, causing a bit of a dip, and also how things are looking from a technical standpoint. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon in just about 12 days from now. Anyways, SPY is dipping quite a bit right now. We're seeing the markets kind of selling off, and there's a lot of negative news that's been coming out, especially with the whole CrowdStrike news, as a lot of computers are down. So I'm going to break down some more information about that, then start talking about these charts in just a minute. Just know that for today, being Friday, July 19th, there's not really much data coming out. We just have Bostic giving a speech in just about a little bit over an hour from now, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else that's too significant on the economic calendar, but there is some very, very big news that came out, and that's the fact that there's a massive, massive outage right over here. There's a Microsoft outage linked to CrowdStrike that's taking down computers all over the world, and this is not the best of news. It's not just like a small amount of computers out there. It's not just affecting like some businesses. This is actually happening all over the world. It's actually a lot bigger than how it was reported initially, in my opinion. And I just want to say that because this is affecting healthcare organizations, hotels, and lots of other businesses that are facing these outages. It's very, very bad. It's slowing businesses down. It's having a negative effect. And I think the market's having a negative response to this. Not to mention some more news involving President Joe Biden. So I'm also seeing a lot of news about him. I just want to say that I can't say anything with 110% certainty, but there's been a lot of very important political figures out there. Even his family are involved in this, and they're all basically saying that Biden is possibly preparing to exit the presidential race due to his health and other factors like that. I can't say this with 110% confidence. We're just seeing some reports that are suggesting this. If this ends up being the case, this would be a little bit more negative for the markets as well. And the reason for that is because the markets love certainty. We know what's going to happen if, Joe Biden becomes president and remains president as time goes on. We know what's going to happen. We have a good idea of his policies, what he's going to be saying, and etc. But if he does step down, then he's going to need some kind of replacement. One of the top potential candidates could be Gavin Newsom from California. If that were to be the case, it would cause some interesting volatility because the markets once again are not as certain about what he's going to do, and that would lead to some downside, at least initially, an initial move to the downside. Is it going to be forever? Not necessarily, just for now. So there's a lot of uncertainty about the markets right now. We have this negative news about CrowdStrike. We have news about Joe Biden coming out, and the market's starting to dip a bit. It was due to actually see a little bit of a pullback after how much upside we saw. So we're going to be looking at our next support zone very, very carefully. So as you guys could see, we actually are below our 550.5 support, which is a sign of weakness. And the next critical support is actually closer to 548. So I'm seeing some more weakness on SPY, and there's a risk of more downside looking at the current technicals. To get back up, I want to see this try to break back above 555. We're actually not close to that. We're still looking more bearish, and the bears have a bigger edge right now. Now, just know that what I was predicting was I thought that SPY would push to about 555 or so, and then we'd see either a big rejection, or if we broke through that, we'd turn back up. We came just short. We actually went up to about 554, so came 1 point short of my target before it ended up getting the rejection. But nonetheless, we were close. We were pretty close to that move. Now we're looking more bearish, and SPY is just, it's not doing a great job at holding its supports. It's just continuing to fall. And there's just a lot of uncertainty out there, so we're still favoring bears a bit more. We'll see if we can try to close above or reclaim 550.5. If we don't do so, this is once again favoring downside. So just wanted to call that out and give you guys a warning about the downside metrics that we're seeing. For NVIDIA, we mentioned that we had this nice range. I called out about 122 to be tested. We actually did test that, only to reject back down. And I did mention that NVIDIA's range bounce. That's what's been happening so far. We have this support over here at this 119 area. If that fails, we have 116.5. And we have resistance all the way up here around this 122 zone. That's going to be a very, very important range for NVIDIA. And I think that as of right now, we're just going to remain range bound. Not really expecting too much for the time being. All right. For others out there, we also happen to have Bitcoin. It's been pushing up to about the 65,000 resistance, but just be careful up here. Despite the fact that we're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO, and technicals do favor that it might try to push a little bit higher. Just be careful at this tough resistance. The last time we hit 65,000, we saw a rejection. So we'll just see what kind of reaction we get from Bitcoin from here. As of right now, it has potential. For other stocks out there, we're going to go back down to Tesla. Tesla's not looking that great, okay? We have this resistance at our 50 EMA, 242.65. If we reclaim that, I'm going to be looking for a push for the mid at 240s, 246 or so. And if we fail to hold above 242, watch 240 as the next support. If 240 breaks, I can see this going all the way down to 238, then 232. There is a pullback right now, so this is going to be very, very important. So I just want to make it very clear that right now the markets are looking bearish, and this is actually dragging Tesla down with it. So just be very, very mindful of this and be very, very careful with the way that you trade and the way that you go about things. But just know there's weakness on Tesla stock as well that's perpetuating. For the QQQ, it's also looking a little bit more bearish. I said this might rebound to about 485, and then we'd either see this thing 484 is the level I call that. That's where this imbalance happens to be. I said we might rebound there, then we'd be watching for either a big rejection or a pump. And lo and behold, we came a little bit short. The market came a little bit short of my target. We actually hit 483, so 1 point away. And then we got a big rejection instead. So because we're struggling to hold the low from yesterday, that 476 area, I see a risk of us coming all the way down towards 472 to 473, depending on where the 200 EMA happens to be. But there is weakness, and I think the 4-hour 200 EMA is going to be tested. And I think that right now the bears have the edge. For Aapl, I'm seeing the same thing. We did push exactly to our target of 226. We called that out yesterday. But then I said that watch and see if you get a rejection or not. Thus far, we're getting a rejection, so there's a risk of this dipping all the way down towards 222. If that fails us, we have an imbalance to fill all the way down here. So I do see some weakness on Aapl and a risk of downside, so keep that in the back of your mind. For others out there, we have Supermicro trying to rebound. Make sure you watch this resistance at 820, but be careful, guys, because like I said before, there's a double tops like structure, and we're still bearish overall. We're just getting a temporary bounce for now. For the IWM, we also happen to have a little bit of weakness that's developing. We're struggling to hold past 218, so I see a risk of us dipping to 213 to fill that gap. So just be careful with that. For Coinbase, we're trying to rebound, but look at resistance at 250. We'll see how it reacts to this. It is a tough resistance. Could go a little bit higher, but be careful. Amazon's still kind of weak on a bit of a downtrend. It is seeing buyers defending 180. So I think we have another range forming between 180 and 185. Watch resistance on 183 and 185, and watch support around 181, and not to mention 180. Might pop and then drop. I think there could be a little bit more downside, so just be kind of careful with Amazon. Meta did end up going to our target exactly. We called out 485 in my video yesterday. I said we'll be watching to see if you reject or not. So far, we're struggling to break past that level. So I'll be looking at 480's resistance. And if that fails, this will be dipping closer to about 478 than 473. There could be a dip coming to Meta, so just be careful. But just know that we have the 220 EMA as a tough resistance. For Microsoft, the 4 hours also looking kind of so right now. It did dip a bit all the way down towards 424. Now we're trying to rebound. Look at resistance at 439. If that breaks, we could be looking for 445. And if this rejects, we'll be coming back down. As of right now, I think Microsoft is going to shuffle. I'm a little bit uncertain because of the news that's coming out. So just be very mindful of that. But just know that there is weakness on the chart that's developing, and there could be a rejection forming near 440. Google's starting to reject a bit. Watch this 180 area as a very big area of interest. If we reject, we have critical support at 178.8. If that fails us, there's going to be a bigger dip. And if this holds, we could rebound. I think we might dip a little bit to 178.8, so give it some time. Anyways, guys, that's it for my analysis. There is weakness developing in this market. GameStop is also dipping, but we called downside on GameStop. I said 24, is coming. I would love to see this at 124, but we're only at 24. That's going to be our next target that's approaching instead. But anyways, this is looking a little bit more bearish to me. AMC is also looking a little bit more bearish. Going to be looking for a test of 4.83. Just wanted to call that out just for retail. I know a lot of people are still interested in these stocks. But anyways, that's it for the video. We're still seeing bears taking over. We'll have to see how well SPY holds up around here. We're seeing some defense around 549, but it's not as strong as before. And like I said before, SPY is still looking more weak, so just be open-minded. Tesla is currently losing 240, so just be careful. There is a risk of more downside nonetheless. All right, so have a great day, guys. I want to just give you guys a quick update. I'll be back in a couple of hours for another one, and I'll see you guys until then. Have a great day, and peace out.